Hello and welcome to my very first episode. I just figured it was time that I go ahead and start recording my own stuff. Reason why is because, hey, believe it or not, I'm trying to do a lot with my video thing going. One of those things that I really want to do is become a movie maker, and I'm going to school for it for now. Just in case some of you are thinking, okay, if you're going to school to be a filmmaker, why are you screwing up the rule of thirds? I'm not screwing up the rule of thirds. I just have this right here because guess what? I know how to use After Effects. That's right. And by the looks of it, I'm going to be talking about Magic the Gathering. That's right. I've decided to start making a video about that kind of stuff. Maybe I should flip this around. Too much shadow. Anyway, let's get on with it. I really like playing Magic the Gathering. It's a lot of fun. I have friends that like to play with it as well, and I figured, you know what, I think it's about time I go ahead and do my very first video on it. Now, there will be other videos. Some of them will be Magic, some may not be. Depends on my mood. But primarily I want to focus around Magic the Gathering. Now, one of the things I want to go ahead and get off my chest is I don't like being one of those guys who, you know what, I don't want to make my own deck. I want to look what other people have done online, and then I'll go from there. Not me. What I like to do is I like to come up with an idea and say, let me see what I can do on my own with it, and just go from there. And, you know, add things here or there that I may need, want, like, things like that help make the deck a little better. So, without further ado, I went to a convention not too long ago. Really cool part about that convention is I got to meet the professor himself, and I asked for his advice on this particular deck. It's a commander deck. And I told him what I was trying to do with it, and when he looked through it, he asked me, well, what are you going for? And I said, well, one-on-one, I can never seem to win, but when it's me versus a big group of people, I always seem to come out on top. And he said, well, it sounds like you do have success with this deck. Everything that I wanted to recommend to you, you already have in here. You took this thing as far as you can go. I like it. He said he liked it. The professor said he liked it. And he a cool guy. And look at him, he's a snazzy dresser, isn't he? Gotta love that suit. So, anyway, to prove that I did meet him and to prove that he actually looked at this thing, there's his autograph. That's right, I had him autograph my white box. This is what I carry my particular commander deck. I do have more than one. This is my Leonin. Now, before we get started with this particular deck, when I say Leonin, I mean Leonin. I'm not talking about Kimba. Even though she is in the deck, I did not want to focus around her. They made a starter deck with her. Really cool idea, mono white. All you have to do is Tron her and you get a big legion of cats. Great, fun idea, but to me it felt limiting. Yeah, Kimba, you equip the heck out of her, get a whole lot of cats at the beginning of your upkeep every time. Fun idea, but it's already been done, and it was kind of, you know, they're trying to push it towards us and say, hey, you guys do that. I didn't want to do that. I actually want to do something my own way. So that's what I ended up doing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and let me go ahead and point out that this is a Leonin deck, which means that I have more than one Leonin in here. So this particular commander deck, I was asking myself, because when I first made a Leonin deck, I pulled a cat called Miri the Cat Warrior. Love her, but she's mono green. And then I ended up later pulling Rockshot Golden Cub mono white. Love his ability, loved her ability, and I said I want to make a green white deck. Problem is, it was 60 card back then, and it just didn't run. That's what really annoyed me, because I love these characters, I love these cards. So I decided, okay, I'll just make it mono white. And then it started actually having some success just being a mono white deck. Loved it, worked really good, didn't play it for the longest time. Why? Because, well, life happens. But now that I'm back into Magic the Gathering with everybody, we're playing Commander. Commander's so much fun. Thanks to a friend of mine, he said, hey, you like your Leonin, why don't you try using this as your commander? So as soon as he gave it to me, started working on this thing and ended up getting to where it is right now. So her name is Karametra, the god of the harvest. Sure, she's a little expensive. She's, you know, as far as gods go anyway, she's expensive. She costs 5. You know, it really stinks. And, you know, she's got that silly little thing that all gods have, which is you gotta have 7 or more devotion to green or white. Not a big deal, but her really cool ability is that anytime you play a creature, search your library for a forest or plains card. and it doesn't have to be basic. It can be non-basic. So for all you out there who like to drop a lot of money and get yourselves those dual lands that actually save forest plains, there you go. She is quick. All you have to do is play weenies. You know, oh, it costs only 1, bam, give myself a land. It costs 2, give myself a land. That's how she works. And I gotta tell you, as soon as she hits the field, this thing quickly picks up. Now, that being said, there is some ramp in here already to help with that kind of problem. But, you know, we'll get away from there. Okay, now for the 1/3 part of every Magic deck that you have to have is your lands. So, let's just get that knocked out the way. Forest and Plains, boom, done. Now for the non-basics that are part of that, gotta get into a little bit more detail. Here's a card, didn't have to pay for. It was a gift from somebody who played when the game kind of sort of first came out. He didn't start when Alpha and Beta came out. He came out a little after, I think, no, it was during the Ice Age. That's the one he came in with. And this card is from one of the earlier sets after Ice Age, and it is called Grasslands. It's a fetch land. That's all it is. One of the earlier fetch lands. Really cool. Comes into play tapped. Kind of sucks, but you know what? Tap it, sack it, search for a forest or plains. Again, non-basic. Always a good, fun, helpful tool. Here is a filter land called Sunggrass Prairie. Everybody knows filter lands are the cheap, inexpensive Celestia charm. Well, I should say just a signet. My mistake. So these are just the 4 free signets. Comes into play, tap a colorless, tap it, you get a green and white. Love it. It's just 2 signets right then and there. Well, that one plus if you have the signet out. The next one, gonna give you a heads up. A lot of y'all who do play Magic Gathering, y'all are probably gonna be saying, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." Let me go ahead and explain for those who do not know. This is in the same deck that Kimba came from. It is just a land. Taps for a white, comes into play tap, but what makes it annoying is it has reanimation. Me, I love to run reanimation because it lets my graveyard become one of my sources. You know, a lot of people who play, they're just like, it goes to the graveyard. It's no longer a source that I can use anymore. Me, I'm like, nah, I'm going to use my graveyard and it's going to really tear you apart. It is a really good strategy. I highly recommend people using any form of reanimation that you can get a hold of. It's awesome. So, pretty sure a lot of y'all already guessed what it is. This is the Emira, the Sky Ruin. A non-basic land comes into play tap. If you have 7 or more plains, that's the drawback. Has to be plains. 7 or more plains on your side of the field. You get to return a creature from your grave into play at the beginning of your upkeep every time. So your creatures have already been nuked by like Wrath of God, Damnation, things like that. This thing just says, oh well, come back. So, like I said, I love reanimation. Okay, here's a dual land. I got this from a trade. Really cool. Love it very much. It's one of the shock lands from Ravnica. Like I said, one of the things that I try to do is because not all of us have a lot of money. You know, so this is to help everybody who, if y'all don't have a lot of money to spend, but you do have cards that you can trade in, go to your local card shop. Trade it in. That's what I did. Got this for no money, but I did have to trade off of really good stuff. The thing is, I wasn't using some of that stuff anyway, so I was like, go ahead. So, you know, bear in mind, I am going to think about you guys because, hey, I didn't spend maybe $5 or $10 on this deck. You know, some of it was gifted to me, some of it I traded in to get, but for the most part I did pay some money, but nothing too grandiose, because I already know there are people out there who are like, oh, I have to have all the dual lands, I have to have all this. Well, if you want to drop $80 for one deck, go right ahead. You got the money, I'm not going to hold you back. So here's the one from Ravnica. It's called Temple Garden. Comes into play tapped unless you pay 2 life. It comes into play untapped, gives you green or white. Your choice. Awesome. This one might cycle out of this deck, but I have it in here for just additional draw power. It is the Secluded Steep. Non-basic land, comes into play tapped, taps for a white, and it kind of sucks, but it cycles. So you just tap 1 white, discard from your hand, draw a card. Nothing wrong with having a little bit of draw power. Nothing. I don't care what anybody else says. Okay, here's a non-basic land. This one is one of the ones from the Khans and Dragons of Takir. Well, one of those. Blossoming Sands. Comes into play tapped, but it gives you 1 life just because it comes into play. So I highly recommend, don't feel too bad about getting lands that say come into play tapped and it gives you one or the other. Non-basic, but hey, it's cheap. Common as heck, you can get a hold of these. These are the ones that give you 1 life. There are ones out there that are rare that give you scry 1. Also really good, but if you're, you know, low on money, get yourself these. They're maybe a penny piece. Really good, they're helpful. You got yourself the Windswept Heath, another non-basic land. Tap it, pay a life to sack it, and you search your library for plains or forest card, put it into play, and then shuffle your library. It's a rare. This one I pulled, which was awesome. I pulled it. I was like, yay! So yes, it's a fetch land. You have to pay a life for it, but this doesn't come into play tap. Just comes into play. Tap it, sack it, pay a life, bring in a plains or forest non-basic. Just comes right into play. It does come into play tapped if that's what its ability says. But moving right along, Canopy Vista, Forest Plains. That one I got in trade, but it was worth the trade. Comes into the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Always good to have this one if you can get a hold of it. It's a $3 card. I recommend it. Of course, any land that lets you tap for 2 colors or even 2 colorless, in my opinion, you should have. It is awesome. It's very helpful. Everybody else is like, it'd be better if you could tap for 3. Yeah, it could, but you know, those particular lands that come into play, they come into play tap, and you tap for 1 of 3 colors. They're good, but unfortunately, they don't let you tap for 3 colors. That would be ridiculous. So, thankfully, we do have Temple of the False God. This card has been my favorite since Scourge. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm playing it. And everybody's like, why are you playing that? All of a sudden, they saw how I played with it, and they're like, dude, that's an awesome card. Yes! So, Temple of the False God, 2 colorless. All you have to have is 5 lands on the field. It counts as a land, so it counts as 5, so you just need 4 others. Right on, right on. And then, of course, from Ravnica, another common card. It's a penny a piece. The Celestia Sanctuary. It's called a bounce land by most of us. Bounce land because when it comes into play, it comes into play tapped, but you have to return a land from your side of the field to your hand. It doesn't have to be a tapped land. It could be an untapped land. It could be whatever. Just as long as you return a land. So there you go. Another card that lets you tap for 2 colors. For nothing. I love it. Always good. Okay, now we're 1/3 of the way done. Let's go ahead and talk about the Planeswalkers. Now, in any commander deck, everybody's going to be running at least 1 or 2 Planeswalkers anyway. In this one, y'all are probably already thinking you're running a Johnny. Very true. Very good idea. However, I did play test quite a bit, and I realized a Johnny you have to be specific with. Now, of course, this is white and green, so we don't have the red and white Johnny. That's fine. We don't need him. I did, for the longest time, have the mono white Johnny. Costs 4, comes into play with 4 counters. He was really good. He was the very first white Planeswalker Johnny. However, he was a little slow, and his abilities were kind of lacking for what I needed for the deck. Still really good, don't get me wrong. I put him in another commander deck where he's faster because of how the deck runs. So he's got a place to live. Then there's the cheaper one, mono white, costs 3, very powerful, but his abilities just did not really work for this deck. You know, it would have been better if he had some of the abilities that these two have, but that's okay. He's a really good card. I recommend using him if you can, because his abilities, oh boy. Okay, but moving on, we have the Johnny Mentor of Heroes. A little expensive. 5, comes with 4 devotion counters. You add 1, and you get to distribute 3 1/1 counters to 1, 2, or 3 creatures. So let's say you just want to get 1 creature +3/+3 permanently. I recommend it. Why? Because, hey, +3/+3 is nothing to sneeze at. But, hey, if you got more than 1 creature on the field, bump them up, get them bigger. It's always a good thing. And that's just a +1. And then he has another +1. Ain't that awesome? Okay, another +1. Look at the top. Just so you know, you're going to see this happen a lot in the deck. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura, creature, or planeswalker from among them. Put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library. I like that because you get to look for what you want, put it in your hand, and then you don't get rid of it. It doesn't go to the graveyard. It's still in the deck. I can search for it later. I have other tutors. And just so y'all remember, tutor means you can search through your deck. Always a good thing. Now, the -8, you gain a lot of life. And by a lot, I mean 100. Now, in a 20-card game, everybody's going to be hitting him hard, but in Commander, I've noticed people try to stay away from hitting commanders. So as soon as you pull that off, you have 100 life. Only way they're going to kick your butt is if they're swinging really, really hard, or they're running Infect. Otherwise, 100 life, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's awesome. Okay, now going on with the Johnny Valiant Protector. Love him. As soon as he came out, I was like, I need him. And he's shiny. You gotta love the shinies. Okay, so again, a little expensive. Cost 6. 4 devotion counters. Put 2 1/1 counters on 1 creature. Not bad, not bad. Get to put counters on it, and that is a +2 ability. Then he has a +1 ability. See how useful that is? I got pluses, pluses. Okay, reveal from the top of your deck until you reveal a creature. Put that creature into your hand and the rest on the bottom of the library in any order. Always fun, always good. And plus it helps you get creature ramp when you're running low on creatures. Okay, and then the -11, I actually pulled this off in a game one time. It was me versus more than one person. This is ridiculous. You put, first you have to remove 11. A little difficult to pull that off. But once you remove 11, put X 1/1 counters on target creature, where X is your life total. When I pulled this off, I had my goddess on the field, and she stayed a goddess. Used his ability, she got +39/39. Kept it, but it also says gains trample until end of turn. So she was swinging really hard. I was going up against one person who wasn't running a lot of creatures like I was, but I did run up against another person who was running a lot of creatures. Thankfully, because of this ability, and I had a big creature, 39 plus 39 and trample, I swung, I nuked him because he just could not block that much overpower. So that's always good if you can pull that off. It is so rewarding, and it's like, oh my god, where'd the light come from? Oh well. See, I do know how to use After Effects. Anyway, moving right along. We're almost, we're 1/3 way done. Ain't that something? Okay, we're going right into the artifacts. Now this is where things, rewind, not artifacts. We're going into spells, sorceries, instants. I am so sorry. That was my bad. Okay, so you're going into sorceries and instances. So, first thing first, here is a green spell. If you're running green in Commander, this is a must. It's uncommon from Kamigawa. That's okay. It is cheap. It is maybe 25 cents. It is one of the better tutors ever created. I hope it gets reprinted until the end of time. It is a sorcery card called Time of Need. For 2, search your deck for any legend and put it in your hand. That's always good, especially when you need to get that legend, like Rockshaw. Get them to your hand, a little expensive, but hey, search for a legend. You can even look for Kimba. She's cheap. She costs 3. Isn't that awesome? You can look for any kind of legend. So if you're running green, run this. If you do not run this, you better have better tutors. I don't know of any, but that's a good one right there. Okay, moving right along. Next tutor. This is a mono white tutor for 1. Search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. So for 1 white, get any equipment that you need. Boom, done. Always good. It is also a sorcery. So it does have that little drawback, but who cares? You get to get that 1 equipment you need. Then there's Holy Day. I don't care what anybody else says. If you're running green, white, even black, run your damage reducers. You need to prevent damage. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I don't want to take that much damage right now. You got Holy Day, you got Fog, you got Ethereal Haze, and for black you got Darkness. Now of course there are other cards out there that are white, but they're a little bit more expensive, and they have additional abilities that say, prevent all combat damage. Same thing for green, but they also have really better abilities, but unfortunately geared towards what that deck is for. Moving along, now we have Devouring Light. One of my favorite cards from Ravnica. Love it. You need to use it if you're running white of any type. Red, white, green, white, black, white, yellow, white. I don't care. You need this card. It is an instant. It's uncommon. You should be able to get it for maybe 50 cents, maybe less. Devouring Light. It has Convoke. I hope it gets reprinted until time knows no end. Convoke. Really cool card. What does it do? You can tap lands or you can tap your creatures to pay for its converted mana cost. When you cast it, remove from play, or like it's been replaced, exile, target attacking or blocking creature. Tell me that is not good, because we've all been at the wrong end of indestructible creatures, as well as at the wrong end of the Eldrazi. Those silly, colorless, devoid Cthulhu wannabes. Yes, I call them Cthulhu wannabes. Why? Look at them, they're covered in tentacles. Duh. But anyway, that's my little rant about the Eldrazi. Why? Because they have Annihilator, and plus when you're dealing with the indestructibles like Darksteel Colossus or Blightsteel, who's almost worse. Guess what? This card says bye. You're never coming back. That's awesome. Never ever underestimate that ability. Moving along. Here we go. we got ourselves a tutor. This is the Worldly Tutor. Costs 1 green. It's an instant. Search your deck for a creature. Doesn't matter if it's legendary or not. Search for a creature, put it on top of your library. You usually want to do that during your opponent's turn. It's instant. What are you going do you blame me? Now, we also got the Congression at Dawn. Costs 3. Another good card from Ravnica. I loved it. As soon as I saw it, I had to put it in a deck. Costs 3. Search your library for 3 creatures, put them on the top of your deck in any order. Awesome tutor, awesome, get things going. Yes, it's a sorcery, but hey, you're setting yourself up to get the creatures you need. Always a good card. If you're running into danger, your opponent is getting a hand on you, they've already used their Wrath of God or their Damnation or something that says get rid of your creatures, and they're already building up an army, hey, why don't you give them a holy explosion, Wrath of God. Destroy their creatures. Nothing wrong with that. And hey, if you only have 1 creature, but they have a lot, or they just have a really big one, get rid of it. You know, and plus, if you got the right reanimation, then here, it'll come back. Okay. Here's my next spell. It is an instant. It is called Celestia's Charm. It costs 2. Choose 1. Target creature gets +2/+2 on trample till turn. Target creature with power 5 or greater gets exiled. Then another goodbye card. Gotta love it. Bye bye, Darksteel. Okay. Or create a 2/2 white knight token onto the battlefield with vigilance. Always good. Sometimes you do need that little extra help. Here's another good tutor. As soon as I pulled this card, I was like, gotta have it, gotta use it. Really awesome. It is called the Collected Company. You use this in combination with the previous card that I just spoke about called the Congregation at Dawn. You use this in combination with it. What you do is you end up putting 3 cards that you really need on the top. This card says look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 creatures whose power, whose mana cost, whose mana cost is 3 or less, and put them onto the field. Always good. Yes, you'll end up putting 2 cards back at the bottom of your library. However, you're putting 2 creature cards that you desperately need right now onto the field without paying the mana cost. That's dope. That's great. Don't underestimate that card. Other people are like, it's okay. No, it's good. Next card. Chord of Calling. I pulled this back in Ravnica. I wanted to use it, but it's a little expensive, a little clunky to use. However, if you use it just right, it can be your biggest help. So, Chord of Calling has Convoke, so tap creatures or tap lands to pay for its mana cost plus the X. You can also pay the X with Convoke. So anyway, cost 3 green, X. Search your library for any creature whose mana cost is X and put it into play. So if you've got 10, you can get Rakshara on the field. Little expensive, but hey, this is green and white. There's mana ramp. You can easily pay 10. Not a problem. Moving right along, here is Condemn. Again, a removal spell, but it's a really good one. Tap 1, attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library, and that person gains life equal to its toughness. So yeah, you're going to have a Blightsteel or Darksteel Colossus swing. Your opponent's going to gain 11, maybe 12 life. It goes at the bottom of the library. Here's the thing you need to think about. That's a really good card to use regardless because, hey, it's indestructible. That's annoying. So sometimes you either got to exile it, or if you're able to give it like --/ and actually kill it, darn thing has a really cool ability that says, I go back into the deck. You annoying pain in the butt. That thing, it's okay. If it's going to go back in the deck anyway, why not pay 1 and put it at the bottom rather than letting your opponent shuffle it wherever he wants it? Down at the bottom, stay there until your opponent searches for something. That's if they have search. Okay, here's another spell. This is, starting to become a thing. Lead the Stampede. Cost 3, but you look at the top 5 cards of your library. Choose a creature from it, put it into your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your library in any order. Really good card. Helps you when you need creatures. I think only 1, right? Or is it 2? Oh no, reveal any number of creatures. I need to really read these before I do these videos. Okay, so this card says reveal any number of creatures. So if you top deck 5, put them in your hand for 3. Always good. Helps you to really get things out the way. If you have all the lands you need, oh dang, I got all these lands. Oh well, bottom of the library. Helps. It really helps. Don't underestimate it. Next card, you got Nature Spiral. For 2, it's a sorcery. Put a permanent that's in your graveyard in your hand. A permanent, that includes lands. So hey, there you go. It's a good card. Cost 2, it's green. don't underestimate cards like these, because, hey, they can actually save you. Here's another removal spell, Path to Exile. Tap 1 white, exile target creature. Its controller may reveal, or may search his library for a basic land card, put it into play. Yeah, that sounds a little uncool. It's like, oh man, really? They're going to get a land? I would rather trade a land for a Black Steel Colossus any day than have to deal with a Black Steel Colossus and then he gets something else. Now, goodbye. See ya. Alright, here's my second tutor, an actual tutor, called Enlightened Tutor. For 1, search your library for an enchantment or artifact. Oh no, yes, I was right. Enchantment or artifact goes on the top of your library. Shuffle your deck. Always good. Great card that helps you get the card you really need. Fog! Like I said about Holy Day, you gotta have that protection. So Fog right there. Nature's Lure for 2. Search your library for a forest. I already know what you're thinking. How is that useful? That only works in green decks. Exactly. But guess what? It can work in any deck. You know why? As long as you have a forest, it doesn't care if it's non-basic. It can be basic or non-basic, your choice. So, put this if you're running green at all, so you can search out your dual lands. Always fun, always good. Now for the coup, for one of my favorite sorceries, I pulled this in Mirrodin. Oh, it was such a good card. Put it in my deck. Unfortunately, I only have one of them. Really cool card. Cost 7 to play. I already know most of y'all are thinking, oh, I know what you're talking about. Others, y'all probably don't know. Called Tooth and Nail. Look at that thing. Ain't that scary looking? That's a lot better than the new one, in my opinion. So anyway, cost 7 to play. Let you choose 2 creatures, take from your deck, put them into your hand. Or it lets you take 2 creatures from your hand and put them into play without paying the casting cost. The put into play part is good enough. You don't really need to search for creatures, especially if you're doing this deck just right. However, if you have enough mana, which you should, that's the fun part. You should have all the lands you need, all the mana you need, pumping out real good. You got your signets. This card says for entwine for 2 colorless. Do both. So you get to search for the 2 you need, put them both into play. Now you're really talking. So now we are halfway there. Woo! I'm not going to sing the song, not because I can't sing, but because we just don't have the time. We got the artifacts. We have Lightning Greaves. In every single one of these commander decks, you're going to have the staple cards. And these 2 boots right here, Lightning Greaves and Swift Runner boots. Both pretty much do the same thing, except Lightning Greaves for 2 comes into play and equips for nothing. Whereas Swift Runner, you got to pay 1 colorless to equip. But the difference is one has Shroud and the other one has Hexproof. So either way, you're going to want to run both of them because it gives protection to one of your creatures. Always good, always fun, and you're going to need that kind of assistance in order to, you know, scare people, especially if you throw boots on Rockshaw Golden Cub. As soon as you throw boots on him, I'll tell you why. So, you got these 2 boots, they're staples, done. Here's a card. This was gifted to me by my friends on my birthday. Such an awesome card. I've always wanted one. Now I actually do. I do not call it by its actual name, which is Sword of Vengeance. I actually call it a Chroma Sword. Why? Because look at it. It's a Chroma Sword. Okay, so just like I said, it's a Chroma Sword. Just like the boots, this sword gives haste. Isn't that ridiculous? Now, unlike the boots, it gives +2/+0, first strike, and vigilance and trample. Like vigilance and first strike ain't enough. So yeah, this is a Chroma Sword. So it comes into play for 3, you equip for 3, a little expensive, but that's okay. Okay, next thing. This is a really cool artifact. Well, I should say it's a legendary enchantment artifact. Really cool, costs 3. It is the ultimate upgrade to Glorious Anthem. I already know what some of y'all are thinking. You're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Others, y'all are like, what are you talking about? This one I got as for $1. Seriously, I went to the card shop. It costs $1. You need this card. I don't care what anybody else says. If it's mono white, if it's white of any kind, you put this in your deck. Costs the exact same as Glorious Anthem. Spear of Heliod. All your creatures get +1/+1 as long as this is on the field. If your opponent's creatures deal damage directly to you, you may tap 1, 2 white. Tap it, destroy target creature that dealt damage to you this turn. Okay, now of course you don't have to wait for them to attack. If they have any kind of creatures to say, I ping you for one, kill it. So there you go. Good creature removal, good pump up your creature ability. Oh, I must insist you guys get that. It's $1. Next card, you got yourself the Sword of the Animist. I call it Sword of the Land. Why? Because that's exactly what it is. It costs 2 to play and 2 to equip. Equipped creature gets 1/1. Whenever the equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land, put it into play, and then shuffle your library. Of course, it comes into play tapped. But still, like I said, I call it the Sword of the Land. But that's the actual name, Sword of the Animist. Next card, here's the Signet, the one I was talking about earlier. It is, costs 2 to play, comes into play, tap 1 colorless, tap it, gives you green and white. Always good, gives you a little extra mana ramp. Here we go, the Hero's Blade. It is 2 colorless and 4 to equip. Why in the world would I put something like that in? That's expensive. Here's why. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. However, if that creature is a legendary, this sword automatically equips onto it. So Raksha, Kimba, any other legends, even Miri come into play, this sword automatically equips to them and they get +3/+2 automatically from the sword. So pretty much imagine Kimba comes into play, she's like, oh look, a sword, mine, just picks it up. Don't even have to play anything to equip it. So there you go, a really good, helpful hand. Next one, if you're, like I tell you, I love reanimation, and this sword gives reanimation. I already know some of y'all are going, oh god, I know what he's talking about. Rest of y'all, this one, it's a little bit expensive. It's $2, maybe $3 card now. Unless you want to get the shiny ones, or you want to get those masterpiece ones. Good for you if you want to get that collection. Me, this is good enough. Came from Darksteel. Cost 3 to play, 3 to equip. Sword of Light and Shadow. Gives equipped creature +2/+2 protection from black and white. So you don't have to worry about murder or assassinate. Those instant kill spells from black. You got protection. Yay! You get, when this equipped creature deals combat damage, you gain 3 life, and then you get to return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. Always, 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 always a good thing. Always. I don't care what anybody else says. Next, we got the Blight Sickle. This one, when I pulled it, I was like, it needs to go into the deck. It has an ability that did not get to see much use. Needed to see more use. Unfortunately, didn't get that use because of the fact that what came in right following that set was Infect. Because Infect came in, everybody said, who cares about Wither anymore? It's true. It's sad. But Wither is still an awesome ability. Costs 2 to play, 1 to equip. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 to equip. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and Wither. Always good, especially if your creature has First Strike. If it has First Strike, that creature that it attacks is going to try and hit it. But because you're swinging with Wither, it gets --, and it keeps that. And then once it finally hits, it's like, well, that's all you got. Oh well. Anyway, here is an expensive card, another one that was given to me on my birthday. So if you can get a hold of it, go for it. If you can't, that's okay. There are cheaper cards out there. Don't do the same thing, but pretty much kind of can. This is called the Argentium Armor. Costs 6 to play, 6 to equip. That's expensive. I'll explain why I have it in here later. Right now, Argentium Armor, +6/+6, and whenever the equipped creature attacks at any time, destroy target permanent. How is that not a good card? Destroy artifact, destroy enchantment, destroy land, destroy creature. Really slow your opponent down by a lot. Great card. If you can get a hold of it, I recommend you do, but really hard and clunky to work with unless you have help. Next, like I was talking about staples earlier, Soul Ring, you need that. Tap 1 comes into play, gives you 2 colorless for free. It's awesome. Then we have the Haunted Cloak. I'm thinking about switching this one out, but I'm debating it because I do like the ability. It's 3 to play, 1 to equip. That's awesome. Equipped creature gets Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. Main reason why I want to keep it in here is because, hey, I'll just throw it on Raksha for 1. He gets Haste, he gets Trample, he gets +2/+2 because of his own ability. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll talk about all that later. But still, really good card. Really helps out. This one, given to me as a gift as I was building this deck. My friend said, hey, I got extras, go ahead and take this one. Not too sure of the price on it. I would suggest looking it up. Probably maybe $2 or $3. It's called Masterwork of Ingenuity. Costs 1 to play. Always good. Play Master of Ingenuity. What happens? it comes into play. Choose an artifact, or I should say choose an equipment you have on your side of the field. It becomes an exact copy of that equipment, including the equip cost. So that can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing depending on what you got on the field. But play this, now you have two of the same card. Always helpful, especially if you want to get more lands, if you want to get more draw power, you name it, you do it. So I was just putting this in. Oh, going back to Argentium armor real quick, I want to show you this sword. It is called the Sword of Cauldra. Older sword, came out Meriden, I pulled one. It is cheaper by 2 colorless. It is 4 to play, 4 to equip, gives +5/+5, and whatever creature it deals damage to, it gets exiled. Always a good card. If you really want it, it is a $1.50 card, unless it's gone up recently. I don't think it has. But it is a good card that you can get a hold of, that if you can't get Argentium armor, get that one. Almost just as good. Alright, back to what I was trying to do. You got the Infiltration Lens. For 1 colorless to play, 1 colorless to equip. Equipped creature has, whenever it is blocked, you get to draw 2 cards. That's always good, especially if you need that extra draw power. Draw power is good. Okay, next one I want to talk about is the Door of Destinies. Little expensive, but this is green and white. I tried to run it in a Goblin deck, did not work out. Why? Because it costs 4 to play. But Door of Destinies, choose a creature type. Whatever creature type enters the battlefield, this thing gets a charge counter. For each charge counter, all those creatures get +1/+1 per charge counter. That's an awesome card to use, especially if you want your creatures to be really big, really fast. Because, like I said, you play a creature, search for a land. Play a creature, search for a land. Play a creature, get 1/1 counter. Play a creature, gets 2 1/1 counters. All your creatures get +1/+1, +2/+2, +3 through D. Just keeps getting bigger, better, and it just slows your opponent down so much. Now, for the final equipment as well as artifact that I have running in here, it is called the Behemoth Sledge. Look at that beautiful thing. I don't call it Behemoth Sledge, I call it the Leonin Hammer. Why? Because that's a Leonin holding it. Okay, so really quick, why I like to use this one over my other favorite called the Loxodon Warhammer. I like that card. First one I ever pulled that was an artifact, and it was shiny, and it has, you know, just dude doing a really cool thing. So another part why I'm using this card is because it helps pay for my goddess's restriction on green and white. So there it is. Really good card. Gives +2/+2 trample and lifelink. Kind of like the Loxodon Warhammer, but unlike it, this one gives +2/+2, not +3/+0. I prefer to use that one more often. Now for the final stretch, we're running into the creatures. Here comes the fun part. So we have the Lost Leonin. He is a 2/1 for 2, really awesome, and he happens to have an ability called Infect. I know a lot of y'all are thinking, oh, why would you put that in there? Why? Because everybody else is thinking, Infect, you need Infect, that thing will help you win. Very true, very powerful. Here's a really good creature that you need. It is good for really good, strong beef up. It is a 3/1 for 2. If you can get him on the field, do it. He is awesome. His name is the Orsicos Swiftclaw. You know, like I said, he's a 3/1 for 2. Really cool to have yourself a nice, strong team goal for you. Next, you got the Brimaz King of Orsicos. He costs 3 to play. He's a 3/4 mythic rare. Thankfully, I was able to trade to get him, but he was so worth the trade. He has Vigilance. Whenever he attacks, he automatically creates a he creates a 1/1 white soldier cat with Vigilance attacking with him. Whenever he blocks, same thing, a 1/1 white cat with Vigilance blocking with him. So he can get pretty bad pretty quick, especially if you have Rockshaw. I'll explain why once we get to him. Okay, now we have the Sky Hunter Skirmisher. He's a 1/1 for 3, a little expensive for a 1/1, but he's flying in double strike. Not a lot of people run flying, so hey, there you go. And as soon as he gets an equipment, he's swinging really hard twice. Now, here is one of the game changers as well as possible game enders, depending on how you play this card. I highly recommend using him. He is a 3/3 mono green creature, cost 6. I know what you're thinking. Some of y'all already know who I'm talking about. Others, just hear me out. This is the Nakatal War Pride. You know, you're looking at them like, who cares about them? It's a 3/3 for 6. Here's why. If your opponent has more creatures than you and they're all tapped, get this guy out, give him the boots, as soon as you attack, he creates that many he creates that many tokens that are a copy of himself onto the field that are attacking with him, and they all must be blocked once by each creature. So they all have lure in a way, except that they have to be blocked by one creature. So the whole point of this guy is to force your opponent to lose all his blockers so that all your other stuff can get through. However, if he's silly enough to tap out and all his creatures are tapped, you're now swinging him full force with a creature who gives you that many more. So if he's got 5 on his side of the field, you got 6 3/3s swinging at him. That's an awesome card, especially if you have Rockshaw. Like I said, you're going to find out why. Next card I'm going to go ahead and talk about is the Osali Pride Mage. He is a 2/2 for 2, 1 green, 1 white. If you can, run any kind of creature that has both colors or is one of those this or that color, because it makes things faster and it has a really awesome ability, or it's just a strong creature. But this guy has a really awesome ability. He has Exalted, so whenever a creature swings alone, he gets +1/+1. And it has tap a colorless, sack him, destroy an enchantment artifact. He is a living naturalize. So always, in my opinion, you really should run some artifact destruction. Reason why is because in Commander, everybody runs a lot of artifacts. Have some to destroy those artifacts. I have a hammer that I need to put in this deck. I'll tell you about that in another video. Continuing on, we have the Blade of the 6th Pride. It's another 3/1 for 2. I like her. She has, grungy hair. She's got 2 sickles, but hey, she's still a 3/1 for 2. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's a really good card. Very good. Now we got ourselves the Cat Warriors. Older card, 2/2 for 3. They have Forest Walk. What's so good about Forest Walk? You have unblockability as long as your opponent has a forest. And seeing as how people are enjoying those, dual lands, why don't you take up on it? It's like, oh, you have a forest. I'm walking. Alright, now here we go. This is the guy I was talking about for a whole time. His name, Rockshaw Golden Cub. Look at him. He's awesome. He's strong. He has a really cool looking scythe. I wish they made an equipment carved Rockshaw's scythe, kind of like how they did the Chroma. He is a 3/4 for 7. A lot of y'all already know what he does. Some of y'all are like, why a 3/4 for 7? Well, his ability is he has Vigilance, and as long as he is equipped, all your cats get +2/+2 and double strike. That's right. You throw on a pair of boots on him, all of a sudden he cannot be target spells abilities. All your cats get +2/+2, and you're swinging really hard every turn with double strike. And because he has Vigilance, he can still block. Really good, very powerful ability. Also, I gave him the Blightsteel Sickle one time. Oh, people did not like that. Next one. This is a rare I pulled one day. Liked him, love his ability. He's a 5/5 for 6. I just love that. Casting cost 3 colorless, 3 green. His name is Jedit Ojtan of Ifrava. He has Forest Walk. Again, take advantage of that. Whenever he attacks, you get to create basically a Cat Warrior token. It's a 2/2, comes into play, and it is 2/2 green with Forest Walk, and it's also a cat. So all these cards, as you can see, are starting to tie into each other in some way or form. Here's one of my favorites. It's a common creature from Mirrodin. First time I pulled her, I put her in any deck I could. I love her to death. Her name is the Leonin Deck. She's a 1/3 for 2. As long as she is equipped, she'll get +1/+1 and Vigilance. So right then and there, she's a really good card, especially if you give her things like the Bone Splitter, 1 to play, 1 to equip, gives a creature 2/0. She becomes a 4/4 with Vigilance. Or if you want to really run a mono white deck that has a lot of equipment, put her in. And if you're running Vigilant heavy, put in the Volshark Gauntlets. Gives equipped creature +4/+2. She becomes a 6/6 Rocky. She becomes a 6/6 Rocky. Okay, here's another creature from Mirrodin. She's a 2/2 for 3. She also has an ability similar to the Dengar. As soon as she gets an equipment, she gains something. Her name is the Sky Hunter Cub. Doesn't she have pretty eyes? I know some of you are looking at me like, no, you're not looking at her eyes. Actually, yes, I am, because I have to admit, I do love the beautiful art that they do in Magic the Gathering, but her chest is pretty nice too. So anyway, Leonin Sky Hunter, as soon as she gets an equipment, she gets +1/+1 and flying. So as soon as you give her what she's already holding, which is the Leonin Scimitar, she becomes a 4/4 flyer. That's always awesome. Always good to sometimes jump over your opponents. Okay, here's the next creature. His name is Leonin Abunas. As long as he's on the field, all your artifacts have hexproof. Your opponent cannot destroy your artifacts with targeting spells. Always good, helpful. He is a 2/5 for 4. He can also play a really good wall. Of course, unless he gets double strike, then he becomes a really awesome wall. Next one. This is one of my favorites that just recently came out. She's a common, but she was hard for me to find. I actually had to go to more than one card shop to find her. Her name is the Wild Cattle. She's a 1/1 for 1. She has really cool ability. If you're running 3 colors, she's even better. But if you're running just green and white, this alone makes her really awesome. As long as you control a plains, she'll get +1/+1. So there you go. She's a 2/2 for 1. However, if you're running 3 colors and one of those colors is red, she becomes a 3/3 because that mountain gives her an additional 1/1. So there you go. You got yourself a really big cat. Here is another rare. I pulled her back when Darksteel came out. I loved her ever since. She's a 2/2 for 2 with this really awesome ability. She is the Leonin Shikari. What she does is she lets your equipments have instant speed. So now you have the ability to say, I bring in Rakshal Golden Cub. Somebody says, in response, I'm going to do this. All you have to say is, in response, I'm going to go ahead and equip him with the boots. Automatically save him from anything. Next we have, one of my favorite pulls from the Onslaught edition, Jareth, the Leonin Titan. Again, that casting cost, 3 colorless, 3 white. He is a 4/7. He gets +7/+7 whenever he blocks until end of turn. Tap a white. He gains protection from any color, from the color of your choice until end of turn for only 1 white. Always good for when you need to add that little extra protection. He's really big, he's really powerful. Love the fact that if you give him a Chroma Sword, he literally becomes a Devastator. Why? Because, hey, give him +2/+0, he becomes a 6/7 with Vigilance. So he swings hard, first strike trample. Whenever he blocks for 13/14. That is always something that just scares people to death. Next we have the Sunspear Shikari. I'm sure you're starting to see a really cool fad here. I love it when this kind of thing happens. She's a 2/2 for 2. When she is equipped, she automatically gains First Strike and Lifelink. So anything she's equipped with, First Strike, Lifelink, she's going to hit hard, she's going to hit first, and she's going to give me my life back. Awesome. Gotta love that. Here's a Leonin who you have to admit you really should put in a deck like this or in any deck that has any kind of equipments. This particular Leonin will help you tutor like crazy. Some of you are already thinking, I know who you're talking about. This guy is also from Mirrodin. He is a 2/3 for 4. His name is the Tajnod. Hard to say some of these names, isn't it? The Tajnar Swordsmith. He is a pretty cool creature. As soon as he comes into play, tap X colorless, where X is the converted mana cost of a equipment, and you get to put that sucker into play. Really cool for when you want to go ahead and tutor something and get to the field like that. Always a good thing. Always put something like that in. Here's somebody who's a really good, quick defender. You don't have to pay his casting cost. He comes right in right when you need him. I'm sure some of you are thinking, who are you talking about? He is a 2/3 for 3. He is a dual color Leonin. Well, technically he's not a Leonin, but he's still the old solid ambusher. Really cool. He has reach. He's a 2/3, and he technically has flash. His ability is you can play him without paying his casting cost as long as your opponent attacked. If your opponent attacked, boom, automatic blocker. Really cool. Love the fact that he's a 2/3. You can beef him up, and you don't have to pay his casting cost. Alright, here's somebody who I pulled one of my very first rares. He's also a shiny rare, and you can actually get this guy for like 50 cents, shiny or not. Kinda sucks, but the thing is, he's very helpful in any deck, especially if you're using artifacts. His name is the Orok Steel Shaper. I know what you're thinking. He's not Leonin. No, he's not, but his ability is what really helps shape things up, especially if you use the Leonin Shikari, the one who makes your equipment's instant speed. He makes the equip costs 1 colorless less, which means that if you got an equipment that costs 1 to equip, it's now free to equip. So he's very helpful. When he is equipped, all soldiers and knights you control get +1/+1 as long as he is equipped. So he's in a nice little addition, kind of like putting him in similar to Rakshal Golden Cub, because he gives all my creatures that, as long as my creatures are soldiers or knights. So some of these guys are soldiers and some of them are knights. Really helps out. Next creature, her name is, I love her to death. She's one of my first rares. She is really cool. 2/3 for 3, Miri the Cat Warrior. She has First Strike, Forest Walk, Vigilance. Love that sword, love her outfit, love the fact that she's just so awesome. And here's another awesome card. Talked about her earlier. She is a 2/4 for 3. She is in the structure that they put together. Her name is Kimba, the Call Regent. For every equipment on her at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 2/2 white cat creature token, and that's about it. You just tron her out, make as many tokens as you want every upkeep. Really helpful, especially if you want to have a big giant army, but sometimes you don't really need a big giant army to win. You just gotta sometimes play with what you got, and it's always good to have multiple strategies in a commander deck. Why? Because you can't really rely on one solid strategy, because you can't always get exactly what you want. You want that kind of thing, you're gonna have to go to 60 card. You know, not a bad choice, but still. Here we go. This creature, again, not a Leonin, but this guy will help out a whole lot. Little expensive. He's a 4/4 for 5, but that's why he's rare. He's got Vigilance. He's white. He's a giant. His name, Stone Chewer Giant. I always keep looking at his name. I think he's Stone Thrower. No, he's Stone Chewer. Vigilance, tap 2, tap him, search your library for an equipment card, put it into the battlefield, attach to a creature you control, then shuffle your library. There you go. For that armor that I was talking about, the Argentium armor, expensive as hell. Same thing for Sword of Cauldron. For 2, tap him, get that Argentium armor onto somebody. All of a sudden, you are the big bad individual right then and there. Here's another Leonin. Not really worth your time probably, but this one, even though it's not a Leonin, still a good card to have. Little pricey, but I was able to trade and get this one for, and that's the funny thing, the shiny one actually goes for cheaper than the actual card itself. No idea why. It is the Stoneforge Mystic. 1/2 for 2, Core Artificer. When it comes into play, search your library for an equipment, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Tap 1, tap a colorless, tap a white, tap her. You may put an equipment from your hand onto the battlefield. Argentium armor costs 6. Boom, it's on the field. Costs 6 to equip, but hey, that alone is, you know, very helpful. You just play your equipment spells for only 2 rather than 6 or 3 or 4. Always good, very smart thing to play. And then of course, last but not least, he's a 1/1 for 1. Common as heck, you can get a hold of him for a few pennies. The Leonin Elder. He's a 1/1 for 1 white. Every time you play an artifact spell, you gain 1 life. Very cool, very helpful, very awesome. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up all 99 cards. Let me see if I might have missed any kind of cards in here, because sometimes they stick. Make sure that I got every single thing talked about for you. Looks like I forgot one. Okay, this is going to be number card 99. I guess I did forget one. This is the Hammer of Ruin. I was talking about a card similar to this. I was going to say it's going to be in the next video. It's already in the deck. Hammer of Ruin. It costs 2 to play, 2 to equip. Equipped creature gets 2/0. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy target equipment that player controls. So, because we have a lot of people who are running the boots, this card. Can't remember its name sometimes, but you know, it's really annoying. Gives hexproof. It gives Shroud and unblockability. Really cool, very annoying card. Thanks to the hammer, you can start destroying these equipments. Makes your life so much easier, and plus, like I've been saying, we really should have artifact hate. Let me go ahead and wrap things up. That's basically my deck. If you see anything that you would change yourself, you know, maybe you for something that is cheaper, that is more effective, I tell you, go ahead and do it. If you can make it work a lot better by changing a few things, go for it. But this is my deck. I love how it runs. You know, I do make a few changes here and there, but it's still a fun deck. I love it. One-on-one, I've lost many times, but when I go up against a big group of people, haven't lost once. Haven't lost once with it. So it all depends on what you're playing against. So it all depends. You got commander decks for one thing, commander decks for another thing. So that wraps up my Leonin commander deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys come up with really cool ideas of your own. Always, please, I implore all of you, don't just go online. If you go online for something that helps you. Don't go online because I'm just going to build a deck because somebody else did it. That's boring. You know, don't do something that somebody else did. Do something your own way. Say, hey, I like this card. I want to see what I can do with it, with what I got. Then go from there. It's more fun, it's more entertaining, and you're able to make yourself a better player as well as a better Magic deck creator. So please, I implore you to do that. It's so fun to do it. Yeah, you're going to lose a lot, but hey, you're going to learn a lot. You know, you're going to come up with combos that some people are like, where did you come up with that? That's just part of the game. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. And also, please, I implore you to don't listen to those friends who tell you, no, you have to do a deck like this. This is Magic the Gathering. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. That's the whole point of the game. You know, if you want to do something that's competitive, you know, you might want to think about looking into those kind of things. It's going to be expensive. But when I've noticed when it comes to Magic the Gathering, you don't have to drop a lot of money to be super competitive. You can actually make a deck on pennies, and you can get this close to winning tournaments. Heck, you can actually win tournaments for cheap. So I just say, do your best. Work with what you got. Play with it. Have fun with it. Next video, hopefully I'll be talking about another commander. I'll see you then and there. Until then, have a good one, and always have fun.